Florida, we have a problem. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive demographic shift that's literally barreling right toward our state, and specifically the Treasure Coast. We're talking about a rapidly aging population colliding with a healthcare infrastructure that is, frankly, dangerously strained. It's a systemic crisis, and it affects our families, our seniors, the whole fabric of our communities. It's a pretty grave situation. The numbers we're going to look at are daunting, and the human impact is absolutely profound. But as we unpack exactly what's going on today, you'll see there is a clear, definitive path forward.
Okay, let's dive into this. Florida, we have a problem. We are basically standing on the edge of a massive demographic cliff. And the safety net below us, it's fraying fast. And this isn't just some distant theoretical issue reserved for medical journals. No, this is happening right now, literally in our own backyards. Our population is shifting in ways our local healthcare systems just weren't designed to handle. It's creating this perfect storm of immense need and deeply limited resources. If we don't tackle this head-on, the consequences are going to ripple through every single neighborhood.
So, experts are calling this the Silver Tsunami, and it is set to hit us with full force by 2030. To put that into perspective, just think about the demand for dementia care alone. We are looking at a massive 38% projected spike over the next few years. That's a huge, sudden influx of seniors who are going to need highly specialized, round-the-clock support. And look, caring for someone with memory care needs, that's not something you can just improvise. It takes profound patience, specialized training, and just constant vigilance. This upcoming wave is absolutely going to overwhelm our existing infrastructure if we don't act right now to reinforce it.
Moving on to Section 1. A workforce at breaking point, and the terrifying lack of infrastructure. Because the real question here isn't just how many seniors will need care, but who is actually going to provide it. Right now, our healthcare ecosystem just isn't ready.
Take a look at this number, 151,000. That's not just a random statistic on a page. That represents over 151,000 caregiver positions that are currently sitting completely unfilled across the state of Florida. Just let the gravity of that sink in. That is a massive void of nurses, aides, and support staff missing from the exact facilities our aging population relies on every single day. So why is this happening? Well, it's a mix of systemic hurdles, really. A historical lack of accessible training pathways, incredibly demanding physical work, and wages that honestly just haven't kept up with the rising cost of living. Because of these barriers, the very people who want to care for our elders simply can't afford to enter the profession or sustain themselves in it long term.
And the direct result of all those empty roles? A crippling 70% staff shortage across senior care facilities. Imagine a local nursing home or an assisted living center trying to function day in and day out with less than a third of the staff it actually needs. It's wild. Under those conditions, the quality of care inevitably plummets. Meals get delayed, response times to call buttons stretch out to dangerous levels, and those remaining workers are pushed to their absolute breaking point, just running from room to room trying to keep their heads above water.
And these shortages? They create massive, highly dangerous bottlenecks in the entire healthcare system. Perhaps the most terrifying statistic in this whole equation is this one: 72 hours. That is the shocking average delay just to get a senior discharged from the hospital. Think about that. When an elderly patient is medically cleared to leave a hospital bed, they can't just go home alone, right? They need a safe place to recover. But because there simply aren't enough trained caregivers in the community, in assisted living, or in memory care facilities to safely take them in, they're stuck in this agonizing limbo for days. It ties up critical hospital beds and leaves our seniors in a highly vulnerable holding pattern.
And what about the caregivers who are still working? Honestly, they are physically and emotionally exhausted. We're seeing a staggering 46% annual turnover rate in the caregiver workforce. The burnout is so real. Almost half of the workforce leaves every single year, which just constantly destabilizes the whole care system and forces these facilities to endlessly scramble to hire and train new folks only to lose them all over again. Now think about the immense emotional toll on the 54% who actually stay. They are carrying double the workload, watching their friends and colleagues leave, and still trying their best to provide compassionate care to residents they've grown to love, all while under relentless daily pressure.
So what does this actually look like for families living right here on the Treasure Coast? In a word, stress. Immense, unbearable stress. When a crisis hits, families are just thrown right into the deep end. They're forced to navigate chaotic, urgent hospital discharges or frantically search for urgent placements right after a loved one takes a bad fall at home. And suddenly, on top of all that emotional trauma, they're trying to figure out incredibly complex Medicaid requirements and specialized memory care options totally on their own.
They have very little time to make these life-altering decisions, often with basically zero guidance. The whole burden is falling entirely on the shoulders of the families, and they are really struggling to keep it together.
Amidst all this chaos, we really have to pause and remember why we're looking at these cold, hard statistics in the first place. As Senator John Hoeven put it so perfectly, caring for seniors is perhaps the greatest responsibility we have. Those who have walked before us have given so much and made possible the life we all enjoy. Resolving this crisis isn't just about fixing a broken economic model, right? It's about honoring our profound responsibility to our elders. Every single senior, regardless of their circumstances, absolutely deserves access to quality, dignified, and compassionate care.
Okay, so we know the crisis. We know the stakes. Now let's look at the path forward. Section 2. The Ultimate Caregiver Solution. The Treasure Coast Caregiver Workforce Foundation. So what does the TCWF actually do? They are purposefully building a pipeline of qualified professionals. They actively recruit, train, mentor, and empower compassionate caregivers to serve older adults with the dignity they deeply deserve across Florida's Treasure Coast. Instead of just putting a Band-Aid on the symptoms, they are actually treating the underlying disease of the workforce shortage. By doing this, they're building a sustainable workforce from the ground up, creating a permanent, structural fix for our community.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how they do it through a really rigorous 4-step approach. First up, accessible training. This means offering affordable programs that fundamentally remove the barriers keeping eager, compassionate people out of healthcare careers. Second is career readiness. They provide intense, hands-on mentoring so caregivers aren't just handed a certificate, but are actually prepared for the incredibly demanding real-world scenarios they're going to face. Third, community partnerships. TCWF acts as that vital bridge directly connecting these newly skilled workers with the assisted living facilities, skilled nursing facilities, and home care agencies that so desperately need them. And finally, number 4, workforce equity. This is all about empowering underserved populations by providing them with meaningful, stable employment that lifts up their own families while they care for others. It's a total win-win.
Which brings us to Section 3, Empowering Communities and Caregivers, and the vision for the Treasure Coast. Because at the end of the day, empowering caregivers inherently means empowering the entire community.
Just think about the stark contrast between where we are right now and where we could be. On one hand, you have our current chaotic reality, 70% staff shortages, dangerous 72-hour hospital delays, and just agonizing family stress during major aging transitions. But contrast that with the future TCWF is actively building for us. We're talking about a dependable local workforce, where healthcare providers actually have real staffing solutions. A community filled with caregivers who are respected, comprehensively trained, and financially stable. And most importantly, families who experience seamless, guided support instead of outright panic when their loved ones need help. It's a night and day difference for the entire Treasure Coast.
I honestly cannot emphasize this reality enough. Treasure Coast Caregiver Workforce Foundation, Inc. is the ultimate solution if nothing is done. If we just ignore those 151,000 unfilled jobs and simply close our eyes to the approaching 2030 Silver Tsunami, the system is going to completely break. It will literally collapse under its own weight. This foundation is the critical intervention we desperately need to prevent that systemic failure. They are our frontline defense, ensuring our seniors have the care they so desperately need.
But here's the thing, they cannot do it alone. This requires real community investment from people like you. So I urge you to visit www.treasurecoastcaregiverinc.org. Or, better yet, pull out your phone right now, look for the TCWF logo, and scan the Zeffy QR code you see on your screen to sponsor 100 caregivers. By sponsoring their training, you are directly strengthening our community and genuinely changing senior lives. So the final question is this: are we going to let the Silver Tsunami completely drown our healthcare system, or are we going to step up and build the workforce that the people who raised us so richly deserve? The time for talking is over. The time to act is right now.